Coins. Coins opens by saying, and here's a quote, "I ask you to accept nothing from me that does not stand the analysis of reason, that you will freely ask questions and pass criticisms. And if there is anyone present who believes that all who differ from him are lunatics and fools, he is requested to vacate his seat and leave the room." End quote. I say the same for this webinar series. There's a lot of information we're going to present here, and we're not trying to tell you guys what to do. We're not trying to give advice. We're not lawyers, and we're not accountants, and we don't give tax advice, and we don't give legal advice. We don't prepare taxes. We don't prepare anything for anyone. But we're going to present some very interesting information over the next few months here, and accept nothing from us that does not stand the analysis of reason. Ask questions, pass criticisms, do as you will, but don't think that anyone on this webinar is a lunatic or a fool, because most people here are here because they're not lunatics or fools, and they've come to recognize that. And so all questions are fair game, and what you guys do with the information is up to you. Okay, we're going to go through coins by way of illustration, as PJ said. We're going to do the picture book of coins. If you haven't read it yet, I suggest you read the whole thing, but the picture book is a good way to go. Let's see what the first picture is. They walked arm in arm into the United States Mint. Okay, so what we see here is gold and silver walking together arm in arm into the U.S. Mint. One of the early acts of Congress was to pass the Coinage Act in 1792, 3 years after the ratification of the Constitution, 1789. The Coinage Act fixed the unit of measure for money at a certain grain of pure silver. It was 371 and a quarter grains of pure silver, and they called it $1. That's under an ounce. If you want to know how many grains to an ounce, I think it's 480 to an ounce. So 371 and a quarter grains of pure silver is going to be $1, is what the Coinage Act of 1792 said. Gold was made money as well, but its value was based on silver's average market exchange rate. So silver had a relationship with gold already established in the market of 15 to 1. So they chose that, and later in subsequent Coinage Act, they moved it to 16 to 1. Therefore, contrary to public opinion, the American dollar was not founded on a gold standard. That's what most people think, but it wasn't. It was actually a silver standard, or a bimetal standard. From the beginning, the US dollar was a bimetallic system, with the value of the unit of measure for money, the dollar, based entirely upon silver. This was chosen because it was the people's money. It was the money of the people. It was accessible to everyone. Okay, and that was part of the reason for the use of it, as opposed to gold, which was the money of the rich. Okay, only the rich had gold, but everyone had access to silver. Okay, so that was the American standard for primary money, was this dollar at 371 and a quarter grains of pure silver. An important thing to note was that the money was seen as a weight of pure precious metal. Okay, it held its value intrinsically by weight and purity, and it was defined by its weight and its purity. Okay, so there's your gold and silver arm in arm. How silver was assassinated. Yeah, got him. Looks like gold killed him. All right, so the Coinage Act of 1873 repealed the bimetallic standard that had silver as the unit of measure, and it replaced it with a gold standard. There's a quote from Coins, quote, that the gold coins of the United States shall be a $1 piece, which at the standard weight of 25 and 8/10 grains shall be the unit of value. Actually, that's a quote from the Coinage Act of 1873. Sorry, that's not coins. That the gold coins of the United States shall be a $1 piece, which at the standard weight of 25 and 8/10 grains shall be the unit of value. So no longer was silver the unit of value, but now gold was. And so silver is no longer the unit of money or the redemption money, but rather just circulated as token money, like paper money, redeemable in gold, like paper money was redeemable in gold. Now, at the time, everyone was already using paper money backed by gold and silver. So the change went, for the most part, unnoticed for a while. Nothing changed because everyone was already just trading paper dollars around. They weren't really, the gold and silver were mostly in the bank or in people's mattresses. They weren't actually using it as much as they were using paper money. The problem was that few working people had any gold, right? So, as I said, gold was the money of the rich. So silver was the common man's money, and now it was legislated to be no longer money at all. And the value of silver plummeted as a result. So this act demonetized the people's money and placed the new value solely on the money of the rich. The rich got richer and the working people got poorer by act of legislation. Okay, let's look at the next one. Okay, take your choice. All right, so here we see sort of a more complex picture. But we've got bimetallism on one side and monometallism, or gold standard, on the other side. And the bimetallism shows, a flourishing economy and the factories open and whatnot, and the monometallism, or gold standard side, says this factory is closed on account of a lack of funds. And you got poor people. The Coinage Act of 1873, in my opinion, was a crime committed against the American people by the banksters. Unfortunately, it won't be the last one they commit through legislation and other means, as we've seen with 1933, the Federal Reserve Bank, etc. But here's what Coin had to say about it. Quote, silver was demonetized secretly, and since then a powerful money trust has used deception and misrepresentations that have led tens of thousands of honest minds astray. End quote. And this environment of secrecy and deceit continues today. I think everyone on this webinar is probably pretty aware of that. Unfortunately, the secrecy and deceit have become more effective all the time since the Coinage Act of 1873 and since Coin's Financial School in 1894. Most people didn't understand monetary policy then, and almost no one understands it today. The more specialized the industrial world has become, the less it's possible for the people to understand what the banking specialists or any other specialist, we were all segmented right now. So nobody knows what the banking specialists are leading the politicians to legislate. And the less the legislators understand as well the subject matter of what they're legislating. So the banksters write the legislation for them, and Congress votes on it unwittingly, and Congress is paid for by the bankers, and the people are none the wiser. Such is the state of things today, and to that I can only say, what a mess. Okay, let's look at the next one. Digging out the foundation. So here you've got the undermining of the structure, right, on the silver side. So this house had two sides to it. Now the silver has been dug out of it and no longer supports the structure above it. So what's going on here? The Coinage Act of 1873 had another important effect on the country's economy. it removed roughly half of the underlying commodity, the silver. And this undermined the paper money and token money, or the credit money that was in circulation. So if you look at this picture as the credit money is what's built upon it, right? The house up above is credit money. And underneath, the foundation was gold on one side and silver on the other. When they threw out the silver and made gold the sole standard, half of the money in the system, primary money, was dismissed from the system, and it just destabilized the whole system. It also robbed the people. So it created an unstable platform on which to build the industrial age of prosperity that followed. World War I, the post-World War I was the Roaring Twenties. And, it set the stage for the Roaring Twenties to crash into the Great Depression. The economic prosperity of the 20s would be built on a foundation of sand instead of bedrock. And as Jimi Hendrix said, castles made of sand fall in the sea eventually. And keeping with that analogy, when faced with the economy falling into the sea in the Great Depression, instead of moving it back to bedrock, which they could have, and it's what the case the coin was trying to make for the government and bankers and everyone to hear, was this is unstable, we need to move back to the bimetal system. Okay, but instead of doing that and moving it back onto a solid foundation, the bankers built a raft for it and called it the Federal Reserve Bank and the Social Security Administration as well, and just floated it off our shores altogether out onto the sea with no foundation at all. Eric Kay says, a great portrayal of this time and subject is Bill Still's Secret of Oz. Thanks, Eric. Also important to note that the U.S. move away from silver was part of a global move to gold standards and off silver and bimetallic standards. We weren't the only ones doing it. England was first, and the same was happening all around the world, influenced by the bankers, enriching themselves and weakening economies worldwide as they line their own pockets. All right, let's look at the next one. The gold standard. All ye who enter here leave hope behind. I like the skeletons, skulls all over it. It looks kind of ominous. Yeah, the gold standard. The value of all real and personal property on the planet is measured by the supply of primary money. And the opposite is also true. The purchasing power of primary money is equal to the total amount of property on the planet. So as each country decreased its primary money supply, the United States, Europe, Australia, India, etc., by eradicating silver and relying only on gold, the value of everything decreased. Silver, as well as all other property, all decreased in value while the value of gold went up. With gold's relative value much higher than before, those who had gold could buy more property than those who didn't have it. And the rich got richer. You would think that with all the property values decreasing, then the rich would get poorer too, but that's not the case because the gold was the money of the rich. They were the only ones who had it. So when everything decreased relative to gold, they then used the gold to go start buying things up. Very similar to the mortgage meltdown we're experiencing today. Okay, those who hold the purse strings use it as a buying opportunity and get richer. I'll mention here just one other important point. As the value of everything but gold decreased, debts did not decrease. Debts don't depreciate with other property. Okay, as the wealth of the people is confiscated by the few, the debts of the people become unpayable. And that's what's going on with the mortgage industry. You see the parallels to what's going on with the Federal Reserve banking today. Coin said it's commonly known as the crime of 1873, and it has been. It's true. If you Google the crime of 1873, you'll get all this information. All right, page. Oh, PJ, can we pull up another one that we didn't plan on? It's page, I think it's 124, PDF page 124. We show that one?
Sure. Say 124?
Yeah. Hopefully that's the PDF page, not the book page, but I think it is. There's an illustration on page 124.
Does this look familiar to you, sir?
No, is that... Oh, yeah, it is. The bottom right corner there. Can we zoom in on that at all? Make that bigger? That bottom right corner. Let's see what's going on in that picture. All right, so what's going on in this picture? Sheriff's sale. Right? Sheriff's sale. Look familiar? Should. This is the way the cycles work. So when you hear people talking about returning to the gold standard as a potential resolution to our current economic insanity, perhaps now you'll think twice. I'd question the likely result of that, often proffered solution. Most likely, returning to the gold standard would just focus the wealth into the hands of the richest 1% even more than it is already. That's what it did last time the gold standard was introduced and replaced the bimetal standard. So, think about that. Where does all the gold go? Where is our gold? It goes to the biggest money lender in the world, the City of London. The bankers of England have conquered the world by peaceable conquest. Well, not always peaceable, but economically, they've conquered the world. And that brings us to the next illustration. Yeah, that one. The English octopus.
Mm-hmm. Feeds on nothing but gold.
Look at that beast, right? Coin put it this way. Citizens, the integrity of the government has been violated. A financial trust has control of your money, and with it is robbing you of your property. Vampires feed upon your commercial blood. The money in the banks is subject to the check of the moneylenders. They expect you to quietly submit and leave your fellow citizens at their mercy. Through the instrumentality of law, they have committed a crime that overshadows all other crimes. Now that was 1894, he said that. Needless to say, the citizens didn't do anything about it then, or since then, to this day. And the situation has only gotten worse. Now, if you were to tell someone that, the Rothschild family, owns the world, or Rothschilds and a few other very wealthy families, fraction of 1% of the population, tiny fraction of 1% of the population, really own the world and have all the finances tied up and have run off with all the gold. They might think you're fit for a rubber room and it's a conspiracy theory and that's crazy and whatever else they might say. But back here in 1894, Coin was well aware of it. I love that illustration. It's creepy. I love the as PJ pointed out, the octopus's tentacles look like roots, and that makes total sense. They don't look like octopus arms because They have a root structure to them, but that's because they're sucking the continents dry. Feeds on nothing but gold, that English octopus.
I like it. This piece is going up on YouTube.